Hello, my name is Bryan M. Davis. I'm your friendly host of Performing Arts. Welcome to episode 3, I believe, of Performing Arts. With me today is...
Hi, my name is DevSyn. I am an artist. I am also a sound engineer. So that's me.
Me and him go way back from our time at Borough Manhattan Community College, which is probably over like maybe 4 years now. So we've known each other for like at least close to half a decade now, give or take.
Yeah.
And we kind of like, although I was kind of like knowing him just as I was about to leave school, so it's like kind of like that sort of like, sort of like the seniors knowing the freshmen, and then by the time the freshmen kind of like know the seniors are already like gone, and I was like, yeah, see you. But because of the circles that we were essentially around, we still sort of like know each other from essentially around that.
Yeah.
But we're not talking about our friendship. We're going to talk about your career in terms of your artistry, or rather your singing. So tell me about like, what is your background in singing? Because I know we were just talking about it, but I didn't start recording until now. So
Right. So I've been rapping for about, well, actually like just writing things down since I was in high school, but I started taking music seriously about a year ago. The first time that I actually got hands-on work with writing stuff, and what actually drove me to write more, was I had a professor named Kavanaugh, and she had a workshop where she was basically making music for the play that was going to come out this semester. It was called Mary Rogers. And yeah, I was going there, helping out with music there. And then after that, everybody kind of like said, oh, you have actually like a really nice sound. So I just started taking it seriously. Then I got linked up to my mentor. His name is Denzil Porter. I'm in his studio right now. Yeah, I got linked in with him, and that's when everything kind of just started shooting up, because the quality of my music started to become increasingly better throughout the times. Even like now, I'm still learning stuff, but he's definitely been a really, really big help. So shout out Denzil Porter.
how did you actually link in with him? What was it, just by chance, or was it something that you sent out like to various people?
It's a crazy story. So Denzil is kind of a very big underground rapper. He does a lot of work with what people called Team Backpack back in the day. So he was helping them out for a very long time. And then by chance, I saw one of his Instagram posts, and I commented, and then our relationship just built from there, because I think it was just like built off of like a genuine like, oh, I really like your music, man. I really like it. And he kind of just gravitated towards me because we're both Jamaican, and he treats me just like a brother. So it's a really cool dynamic.
That's actually awesome. It's really rare to actually see people, especially, well, nowadays people on Instagram, they do like, oh, they like they like comment on this stuff, and celebrity, it's like a celebrity was seeing your comment, like, we'll like your comment, and then but actually replying to it and stuff like that, that's actually a lot more rarer, because
yeah, especially with like artists, I feel like anybody that's kind of like that has a following, they kind of brush off comments. So I think I was really, really lucky. I think it was really something destined to happen, because he saw my comment and liked it, and we just started having like a conversation afterwards. So it was really, really like I don't know. I think it was just designed to happen that way.
You mentioned Kavanaugh and her clan.
Hmm.
But is there something else that got you into hip hop, rapping, that sort of thing? Was it a particular song, particular artist? Were you essentially like to like was it yeah, was it a particular song or was it a particular artist slash artist, that sort of thing?
So I got into hip hop pretty damn late. Um, I actually was a very, very big rock fan when I was in high school. I used to actually get made fun of for liking rock. So I
There's
got into
nothing really
really,
wrong
really
with that.
no, there isn't at all. Um, but I got into hip hop because of J. Cole. I heard one of his songs and I kind of just like listened. I was really listening to his lyrics and I it felt really, really special. And then after that, I heard a song from Childish Gambino. That is, anybody that knows me, that's my father. Like, that's my dad. Like, some universe. But I got into people like that. And then I just started listening to hip hop even more because I wanted to learn about the history. And whenever I like something, I actually do research on it, like a ton of research on it until I'm really well versed in that conversation.
In terms of just hip hop in general, have you, it's an odd question to ask now, but in terms of hip hop in general, uh, especially since for the past few months we've been essentially living in quarantine,
Mhm.
lockdown situations where it's like you can't really go out, but people are still going out with masks, that sort of thing. Now that the lockdown is sort of like here in New York City, the lockdown is sort of over, but it's not necessarily over yet.
Right.
There's actually more protests going around. Do you
Hmm.
think that because, well, not because of what happened, well, because of what happened, but do you think that music now is going to be a lot more, I guess, politically heavy because of what's been happening for the past, say, several months? Because not only with the coronavirus, but with the killing of George Floyd, and essentially the protest that's been happening for the past, like maybe, like close to a month now. Yeah,
Hmm.
month. Do you think that music, hip hop and rap, musically, it's gonna essentially change from become a lot more, I guess, in a sense, like rawer and or in terms of just what the songs are about? Because
Like the content.
when I was growing up, hip hop around like the 2000s was basically very anti-Bush, that sort of thing. You know, kind of
Mhm.
was like big focal points. You know,
Yeah.
what was it, Graduation, something like that.
Yeah, that was a beautiful album.
Yeah, Graduation was a big hit, especially around the time I was going to college,
Hmm.
and you know that sort of thing. But now we're like close to 15 years later, and there's like so many more people who are rapping and just doing like you just mentioned Childish Gambino, and
Hmm.
you see essentially music, especially hip hop or rap, depending on how you see it, uh, going from where it was like people were in quarantine,
Hmm.
lyrics, that sort of thing, compared to where it's like it's more of a reaction to what's happening in the world right now, like protests, and
Yeah.
especially to the election in like say a few months or so.
Hmm. I think with hip hop has always been a very uh a political art, really, because we people usually touch on things that they know of. So when we have like people that are talking more like about like gangster like rap, that's because the environment that they're in. So now that we have this environment and this climate right now, there are a lot of rappers that are kind of stepping in there and giving their opinion on it. And I think that's a really good thing, because that's what we started off of. We started off of just explaining what's happening around us. So I do think for a while, there's going to be there's kind of going to be a movement of a switch up, I guess, instead of just being kind of like, oh, this is the lit song that comes on at the party. People are now looking for, okay, are they talking about what's going on? And I think that's going to be a really good change too, because we kind of got to go back to our roots at some point and really find our way again with hip hop. Because for a while it was like, oh, let's turn on this song because it's a party song. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's something for everybody in hip hop, but I think hip hop at its best is always political in some way.
Yeah, no doubt. Growing up in the 1990s, that was like the pinnacle of, I want to say political. Even though you just said hip hop has always been political, that was like a time of pop political stuff, where it's like you just came out with the NWA, Body Count, Tupac, Biggie, that sort of thing, and when you listen to lyrics, it's like, oh, it's like they have their party song, so to speak.
Yeah.
But then you hear other songs, it's like, wow, they are literally talking about stuff that's happening, and might treat it as the party song, which is nothing really wrong with that, because it's a party. You need a song that can, lift up people's spirits at after maybe 3 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
Like put on that song is like they was like, oh yeah, come on, and like start dancing again. But yeah, politically, hip hop has always been something that's always been on the pulse of what's been happening in the world, essentially. So I think that especially in the next maybe year or two, or maybe in the next few years, there's got to be more and more people who are essentially going to be on that pulse of the world. Do you see that wave going away after a couple of years, or do you see that wave just continue to rise and rise until it's like there's
I think that wave is always going to be there. We have people that are like J. Cole, and the Kendricks, that always kind of touch on these subjects, regardless of whether it's popular or not at the moment. So I really do think that, yes, we'll have a very strong wave of rappers going and being like, okay, this is the subject that we need to talk about. But I really truly think that it's going to stay around, because most times people are there. You just got to look for the political people. J. Cole has always been political, even though he has his party songs. Even though he has his party songs and all of that, he's really politically charged in most of his work. So I think there's always going to be a consistent stream of rappers that touch on subjects like this.
I know you just recently, a few months ago, give or take, especially around late December or so, not late December, late November, around that area, that you released something in terms of, I don't remember what the stance was, but I'm trying to remember what happened with the, oh, it was the end.
1 second, I'm just gonna turn off the light.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I have, I think, 2 songs that really touch on subjects like that. I have, well, not me personally, but me and my team. I'm a part of a group, a rap group. We're called Insight. So my friend Jahari made a song, and I was also on the song, and we were talking about like hopping the turnstile because the MTA prices were going up, and it was really, really shit service.
Yeah.
So we talked about that, and then there was also another one that happened. I got kind of linked into this page called Decolonize This Place,
Yeah.
and they asked they asked me to go perform at one of the protests. They wanted to hear that song, but we ended up unfortunately not doing it because of safety reasons. But that also did really, really change my mind. After that, the next day I went to the studio and recorded a coffee bean freestyle, and that was really like touching on the subject of police brutality and things of that nature. And all because like I went to the protest and I really felt it. So yeah, those things are really, really politically charged.
Yeah, and as I said, hip hop has always been on the pulse of what's been happening. So,
Mm-hmm.
as of right now, do you have like a defining moment in your career, or you're kind of like still trying to like you're still grinding, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
or have you literally have a moment where it's like, you know what, this might be the defining moment of my career?
So there's been a couple of moments where I feel like these things, certain things happen that I'm like, all right, this is a really, really big step. So for instance, I got linked into a studio in Wall Street, and from there I kind of met a lot of big name rappers and their like managers and things of that nature. So I felt that was like a really, really big step in my career, but I don't think I have anything right now that was kind of like, oh, this is my big moment, or like this was like my defining moment, and this is what people are going to see when they see me. Yeah, like I haven't had that moment yet, but I think I've had a bunch of smaller steps that were needed. I like to think of it as kind of like how Tory Lane said it. I might not just go. I might not just pop, but I'm gonna get there somehow. I'm gonna keep on like making these little steps until like I actually am up there.
And I can't really wait to see where you go from, especially since I know lyrically and musically you have a very gift in terms of like how to uh, not only with the beats but also just lyrically. Honestly, again, as I mentioned previously, I'm not a music person, but I know I'm music. So if I mix
Mm-hmm.
up meaning with music. So uh, when people, I guess it's called like rapid fire. Like when someone is rapping, is like almost like rapid fire. Like
Mm-hmm.
what I mean, it's like that sort of like people know it's like they have like a rapid fire approach of how the thing. So I'm not saying you have a rapid fire approach. I'm just saying that musically and lyrically, you have a very great gift in terms of what's been happening, in, in terms of career.
Oh, thank you.
No problem. You mentioned J. Cole and Chalice and Gambino, and you mentioned before, but do you have any other inspirations in terms of hip hop in general, or has this sort of like those been like those three so far?
Oh no, there's a bunch of influences that I have. Andre 3000 is really great. Big L was I got put on the Big L, and I really like his stuff. Wu Tang, always amazing. I listened to a bunch of Biggie and a bunch of Tupac because I kind of have to like understand. Like again, I do my research on things when I like it. And this is something that I love. So I do a bunch of research on music in general. Um, I really respect like people like Lady Gaga, Bad Bunny. Yeah, there's a bunch of influences that I have And it doesn't just stop at hip hop. Yeah, there's just I feel like the best artists come out when you can find inspiration outside of just your genre, you know? So I really pride myself on that, on having like a very diverse listening ear, I guess, and a diverse playlist.
In terms of do you have any like unorthodox like inspirations or collaborations? Well, okay, let me rephrase that. Do you have any collaborations that you worked with that are like kind of like inspirations, but you kind of like don't see it as like what you just said because it's kind of like unorthodox, whereas it's like they're not primarily hip hop. That is like they might be primarily
Mm-hmm.
then maybe primarily rock. So it's like.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, do you have any? The question is, do you have any unorthodox inspirations where it's like they might not fit in this mold, but
Oh
music,
yeah.
like musically, lyrically, there's something about their songs that just feels right in terms of what you
Oh
feel.
hell yeah. So for instance, I'm a really big like I like Slipknot a lot. I really got into Papa Roach when I was young too. So those are people that I would really love to collab with. So like Slipknot, if they ever hit me up, that's a definite go. Papa Roach, if they ever hit me up, that's a definite go. Maroon 5 is really like up there too. I really enjoy hearing them because I enjoy hearing how when they come out with their songs, because whenever they come out with their songs, they honestly do so well. So I would really love to work with them. Avril Lavigne, if she ever hits me up, I'm geeked over her. Skater Boy was like my whole anthem for my whole life. Yeah, those people are definitely like, I would definitely collab with them. Oh, Kesha too. Like if Kesha ever comes out of like retirement and wants to do a track, I'm super down.
I'm pretty sure she isn't like retired yet, but I think she's just been taking a break, and I know she's putting out new music somewhere. But it's just because of a lot of these legal issues that she's been having for the past like several years. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I only have, it's odd because I only have like only like 2 questions left. So but and this is something that's probably got to be edited out in terms of my own thing. But I have so many other questions to ask, so I'm trying to remember like what other questions that I could ask you that terms of thing. Uh, oh, I just had it. Yeah. Hang on, I'm just gonna stop recording for a second. Okay. In terms of your education background, in terms of where you were going for past stuff, BMCC and I believe City.
No, I didn't. After BMCC, I kind of so I had a very late registration, and I didn't get accepted because of how late it was. So I started working, and that's when I started coming to the studio. Was after BMCC. That's when I got linked in with Denzil Porter. So I never went back because I'm doing a lot of the things that I want to learn in college now, like here, like hands-on work. So I've always been I've been having like this real like battle with myself about, I know I want to go back, but do I want to spend the funds for going back and learning things that I'm honestly learning now anyway? And Denzil's been telling me this too. He told me the first time I said, "Do I want to go back to school?" He said, "Do it," because I'm gonna learn things there that I won't learn out here. So I definitely want to go back. I just think I have to have my right time, because right now everything is just going well with music, and it's looking more and more like I can make this a career and make money off of this and sustain my life with making music. So it's really a difficult thing, because I have to consider a lot of like time, clients. So I haven't went back. I did want to go to Lehman College or City. So I'll get back to you on that one, actually, because I definitely want to go back.
Yeah, I have no doubt that I do want to like reach back to you and like maybe like towards like the end of the year or something like that. Whereas like I talked to some of the people in the past and say, hey, where you like where do you like? I just wanted to do like a little catch up. It's like, where are you now? It's like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
if you going back to college, it's like you see yourself going back to college right now. Because right now, I will say this college right now, a shitstorm because of what happened last semester. So
hmm
classes went online, and all the I want to say professors really didn't know how to do online classes. So
right.
so I will say that if you do go to college,
Mm.
but if it's the college right now, oh my God, I could just tell you like it's like I'm just like kind of like lucky that I have already graduated from Brooklyn College. So I'm like,
Right. Now I get that, because I think that where the disconnect is professors right now are learning how to teach these classes online. So Zoom is really kind of a new technology for them, for most of these professors. So they're learning just as much as we're learning from them at this point.
in terms of Zoom, how well do you see Zoom being in the foreseeable future, especially with people
Mhm.
have been, I guess, prospects, I guess, if that's the term, prospects in hip hop or just music in general, and they have to essentially have like a Zoom meeting like this with the record producer. Uh,
Mhm.
do you see Zoom meetings like this more so often in the future, or do you see like a slow thing where it's like I actually want to meet this person in person instead of just being over like the phone or something like this?
Mhm. Um, I think Zoom right now is perfect for what we need, but I feel once everything is open again and everybody knows everything is safe, we're going to want to meet people in person, because to be very honest, even when like you want to collab with a person, it's better to have them in the studio with you, or yeah, in person, because of the energy that you get from them. You can't really read energy through a phone um as easily. So I definitely believe people want to see people in person and actually feel their energy when they're talking about something that they're passionate about. So Zoom is really really good right now, but I feel that once this is over, it's a Zoom's numbers are going completely down.
Well, I wouldn't say like completely down, but people probably still use Zoom for like meetings and stuff like that. But
Oh
uh,
yeah.
yeah, like what you just said before, there is a connection, especially when you're in a personal space with other collaborators, like in that moment. Because like this past semester, I was in a devising class where we were essentially creating our own little play, that sort of thing. So feeling the same energy between uh, my my uh, my group members into creating that play, it felt off in like I will say it felt off in like the first few weeks of essentially Zoom stuff because
Hmm.
in person, like what you just said, it'll be like essentially feeding off that energy, that thing. So
Yeah.
I believe, and well, I believe people need to feed off of energy right next to them, especially if they're
Yeah.
collaborating in whatever. So just collaborating over the internet, that's fine because people have done that, and I've been doing that for the past decade or so. And I still love to do it because the people who I work with, they're so collaborative in terms of like their ideas. But
Yeah.
something like music and theater, which I pointed out before, is like music and theater are essentially almost like similar and also like shadows to each other because they share the most similarities to each other, especially
Oh yeah.
like so collaboration. Now, collaboration, if we had to do it over the computer, it's fine, but yeah, there will come a day where it's like everything. Okay, everything's all better now. Somewhat, you could go back and actually meet people again, hug people again. You know, don't walk
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
And
So
that's why I really enjoy the theater culture as well, because it's a really really opening, like it's a really open environment, loving environment most times. So also music and theater, like especially for me, go hand in hand. um I remember the first time I came to the studio, I was rapping. The first ever song that I recorded was, I mean, recorded at like, a professional level, was Cash Feels. And I remember walking into the booth and doing it and thinking I smashed it. Like I was A1. And Denzil was like, he sat me down. He was like, "Hey, what'd you study in college?" And I told him theater. He looked at me. He's like, "Man, if you don't go back in there and use that acting that you like paid for in your music," and that really like elevated my music, because now I see it more as not just I'm spitting words, but I'm actually giving character to my words when I say things. So theater and music for me go hand in hand. Like that's the reason why the quality of music I have is what it is.
so how much of theater has been a very big inspiration for you, or at least a creative influence for the most part? Because I know we were both uh, majors at BMCC,
Mm-hmm.
uh, especially since, and I know Professor Kavanaugh like really helped you in terms of actually almost sending you in terms of this like path that you're on now because of the
Mm-hmm.
difficulty he was doing. Uh, yeah, how much of theater in general, very big, yeah, there we go. How much theater has bleh, music, uh, great power of editing. Okay, you just cut all this stuff away. Uh, unless I'm just using the audio recording, so man. Uh, how much of theater has been a big inspiration or creative influence for you?
um, it's very big. Um, I remember I remember after recording Cash Fields, I went and I what was the musical? Dang it, I can't even remember the musical. But I went to go see a musical with the organization I was working for at the time, and really getting the message of the musical, and then being like, okay, I can write about certain things now. Because with theater, I think that theater is being open enough and vulnerable enough to get outside of your body and your mentality and being somebody else and being that person. So even with how I am in real life, right now you're kind of like talking to Devontae, but when I'm on stage, it's DevSyn, because I have to then get out of myself, out of like my shy habits to entertain. So theater is a very, very big thing. Like if I didn't have theater when I was growing up, it would probably be like, I probably wouldn't have been making music.
Again, since we're both theater kids, essentially, even though I'm not like a theater kid because I don't have like the strict background, that sort of thing. Do
Mhm.
you see another Hamilton like coming out in the woodworks, especially what's been going to be, especially in the climate now that we have? Do you see like another Hamilton essentially gaining traction within the next few years, or do you see musicals kind of like becoming a lot more? I will say this: before it closed, Frozen actually had its first person of color cast, I believe,
Mhm.
and and had their I believe it was a Hispanic Elsa and that sort of thing. So
Mhm.
music. Do you see musicals in the foreseeable future just being more to seek casting, or do you see like more people trying to become like the next Lynn? Oh, it's just the same thing that happened a few days ago. Lynn Manuel Miranda, and just trying to become like the next. Like, do you see essentially like that?
Um, I I personally think that Hamilton is a one in a lifetime kind of musical. And I say that because the way that everything kind of like played out, if you listen to the album of that, it is incredible. He kind of went back to like a bunch of songs and referenced a bunch of different lines that were already there. And that, I think that is always beautiful when you reference yourself in in a song. It's always incredible to me that people can do that. Um, so with Hamilton, Hamilton had that kind of that feeling of, oh, here's the first song, and then 3 songs later, it's referencing the first track or something that happened in the beginning of the play. And I think that's really something hard to do, and that takes a long time. I think Hamilton was a once in a lifetime kind of show. I think people are going to try to emulate that though, because it's such a success. Like when something is very successful, everybody wants to do it. Um, so yeah, I think people are going to try to emulate that, but I don't think people are going to be successful with becoming the next Hamilton, I guess. Um, but I do see a lot of musicals that are out that are very, very well put together as well. Um, like Dear Evan Hansen. Dear Evan Hansen was a very, very beautifully written body of music, and it was a pretty good play to sit through. But I don't think it has that same that wow factor as Hamilton. Um, but everybody is going to try to be the next Hamilton.
Hmm. Uh, yeah, and what you just said before, there have been not only plays but musicals for the past, say, years or so that has been really almost on the finger pulse of what's been happening in theater, uh, especially since Hamilton for the most part, and people have been trying to emulate Hamilton for the past, say, debuted on Broadway, and something that you just mentioned before, Dia, that
Mm-hmm.
been trying and been emulated too. So there has been people trying to emulate the success of Dear Evan Hansen, but also Hamilton, that sort of thing, but also musicals in the past. But do you see trying to almost like do you see oh, question. Uh, uh, where where can we expect you in the foreseeable future?
Um, I definitely think I'm going to be somewhat of a household name. I think I have a game plan for the next year. This summer, I had so many plans of doing so much to actually boost my career. Um, there were a bunch of music videos that I had to like put on the back burner. I was actually going to help out a bunch of videographers that I know. Also, kind of like build like a small business of freelancers.
Yeah.
That I would help them get clients for like music videos or videos in general. I also was going to go on a mini tour with the group. I kind of like set it up where we would bounce from New York over to like Pennsylvania, over to Virginia, and various places. But I think for the foreseeable future, I think I'm going to be somewhat of a household name in 3 to 4 years, give or take. Because, like I said, I don't think I'm going to be an artist that's just going to like have this one song that just blows up and that you won't hear from me again, or I won't have the same wow factor. But I am going to be a person that's little by little getting their recognition and their respect, and then everybody's just kind of like know about me.
And I honestly can't wait to see how much you grow within the next, say, couple of years or so. Because I do want to see you on like MTV, like the MTV, let's say MTV, or well, it is probably MTV Awards now. The MTV Music,
Mm-hmm.
like getting best single of the year or something like that, whatever they do nowadays. Because I've lost traction what they actually do at the MTV film,
Yeah,
the awards. I think.
I don't keep up with them either, to be very fair.
But hearing a group actually reminded me of a question I wanted to ask you before. How did you actually uh, did you form this group, or was this like a group that just happened to be like in happenstance, where it's like I know that, and like I know this person, I know this person. Why don't we just like
Um,
create like a little group of sorts?
how this happened was Insight became a thing because my friend Jahari and my friend Jazz knew each other and they were rapping in high school. And I kind of just got into it because I was like, hey guys, I think I could be good with like putting words together. And I gave it a chance. I read a book on how to rap. And then from there, I kind of just built it. Like me and my friends just kind of like built what Insight is. We have like a bunch of affiliates and members, but the main people are me, Jazz Royale, Jahari TGS, and Robin De Niro. We also have our producer. His name is Bats Beats. Um, so yeah, I think it's just how this happened was it just kind of built itself. We all kind of saw something in each other that was like, yo, I think that you're amazing and you're my friend. So why don't we just like, come together? It really feels like a Wu-Tang kind of story without like Wu-Tang problems, I guess.
Yeah. And again, this is something that's like harkens back to theater, because theater is all about collaboration, and theater
Hmm.
and people who have worked with each other in theater, and especially when you have like the same minds and stuff like that, you want to build a rapport with them, and you want to build a network with them. But not only that, you want to build like essentially a company with them, especially
Yeah,
wow, it's like, hey, we kind of have the same ideas. Like, why don't we just like create our own little theater company and see what we could go with that? So music,
yeah,
so not this is not necessarily a band, but in terms of your group, it's like feeding off the same energy as what we said before with theater itself. Because
hmm. And I do I take no I take being called a band as the utmost highest respect, because I feel that bands were really people that saw they saw puzzle pieces and just locked in together. So I do think of us more of as a band or as a collaborative group, because even though we have like our like own styles and everything like that, we have our own projects coming out, but we always find some way to come together in every song. It doesn't matter if it's just me on the vocals. um my friends, like, they'll sit here and critique me and go about how and tell me how to go about things while I'm in the booth. So like I definitely feel like we're on the cusp of being a group, but also being somewhat of like a band, like having a band culture to us.
uh, yeah, and I said, it's just something I just can't wait to see what you and Insight essentially us within the foreseeable future, because I can sense that you and uh, you two. I'm trying to remember their names. I know one is Jazz and one is
Jahari.
Hari. I know you three, like as I said before, musically, there's always been a thing with music on the pulse of what's been happening. So I can't actually wait to see you at the table, especially for the next, say, months until probably towards close to the end of the year. And I
Mm-hmm.
hope that you do something over the summer, because summer has yet to really start. And
Mm-hmm.
and Netflix just released a special with Dave Chappelle where he actually did perform a concert in front of people that were, but it was just like, well, I wouldn't say it was a concert, it was like a mini performance, something like that. And it was like a social distancing thing where it's just like people were there, but they were like kind of like there. So I do hope that you a couple of performances over the summer where it's like, hey, I want to get this thing out, you know,
Mm-hmm.
even though it would be like social distancing inside the concert itself, I want to have at least some portion of some summertime exposure, because you don't want to have all your uh, summer plans go to waste because of what's been happening with the coronavirus.
Yeah.
It's still a dangerous virus still going around, and people still taking precautions. As long as those precautions, like wear a mask and gloves, that sort of thing, sanitize, that sort of thing. Probably do your like at least maybe one or two, like I wouldn't say like full concerts, say like a mini concert, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even live stream something like that, where it's just like you're kind of like in the studio right now and you just live stream a concert, that sort of thing, and then boom, that sort of thing. Uh,
Yeah.
but I think, and and something that this performing in the arts was actually something that was actually stemming from something that I had originally was going to be over the summer, where it's just like I would interview someone like you face to face,
Yeah.
or the interview, any questions as I can, and you know, but so collaboration between you all, I do hope that I'm losing my train of thought, but you get what it sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you getting what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of summer planning, I believe you could probably still do those summer plans, but just make it more like kind of like you gotta do everything in a very minute detail, whereas like everything is so.
Mhm. Yeah. The first plan that I have is to throw a party slash music video for one of the songs, and I think that's going to be like somewhat of a mini performance too. I'm going to kind of rent out an Airbnb, probably an Airbnb with a pool. So I
Gotta
think
have a pool.
that's the plan. I think
Gotta
that's
have
the
a
plan.
you gotta have a pool somewhere. Is like if it's a party and it's summer, gotta have a pool.
Yeah.
Uh, I believe from since I don't want to really take up all your time, do you have any advice to the people listening or watching at uh, home, their whole computer? I mean, at home, they're listening to this, whatever they have, their phone right now. It's like, do you have any advice for people?
Yeah. Um, you are greater than you think. And what that means to me is that I was a very quiet person for most of my life. So I didn't really see myself doing music or really being where I'm at. But take a chance on yourself. If you have a dream and you want to do something, take a chance on yourself. Always invest in yourself, because the end results can only boost you, you know? So yeah, that's my word of advice. Just make sure that you invest in yourself.
And on that note, I believe that's actually a good note to actually end on. So thank you, Devontae. Yeah. Thank you, Devontae and DevSyn. Is that you, if they pronounce it correctly?
DevSyn.
DevSyn. Okay. Again, I'm a little hazy on how to pronounce it.
DevSyn. So it's like DESY.
Oh, okay. DevSyn. Okay. I know I'm pronouncing it incorrectly.
Hmm?
I'm sorry. But thank you again for taking the time
Yeah.
out of. You're breaking up a little bit. Okay. But yeah, thank you again for taking the time for all of this. That was my connection. Okay. Thank you again for your
Yeah.
time.
I mean, yeah. Thank you for even like inviting me on. This is really a big opportunity, and
Oh yeah.
I think you killed it. You definitely killed it on the interview questions.
Thank you. And with that, this is episode 3 of Performing the Arts. Take care, everyone.